Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal have reached an agreement with Musquera to arrive at the club as new centre-back. Talks ongoing now between Arsenal and Valencia for everything to be ironed out on the fee. The player has a release clause of £17 million, but Arsenal want to sign him for even less than £17 million. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Arsenal are really serious about signings this month. Also, we shall be talking about Gerard Hato. Arsenal are still serious about signing Gerard Hato, but a move for Hato depends on the future of Alexander Zinchenko and Jakub Kiwior. If Kiwior and Zinchenko both leave, then Arsenal will progress to sign Gerard Hato. This is according to Jacob Benz. Arsenal are also looking at Julian Alvarez. Amidst all this, pushing back and forth on Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko, Arsenal are considering Julian Alvarez as a big possibility this summer, although the price could be a little bit unrealistic and very expensive. So let me know in the comment box below, do you think Arsenal should sign Julian Alvarez? Do you think Arsenal can do the deal for Julian Alvarez? He left Manchester City for Atletico Madrid last summer. That was for about 90 million, if I'm not mistaken. So can Arsenal surpass the 90 million euros that was paid in the bank account for Manchester City by Atletico Madrid and get Julian Alvarez this summer? Let me know if that is a deal you think Arsenal should be dying to do. But let's get into the argument that Arsenal have this morning. And we can confirm this from Fabrizio Romano, we can confirm this from Hands of Ozil and Hands of Arsenal, who actually broke the story, that Arsenal have now reached an agreement with Christian Mosquera. This is according to Hands of Arsenal, who broke the story yesterday and is now saying that Christian Mosquera has agreed a move to Arsenal after being presented with the club's project. Arsenal are optimistic to finalize the deal under 19 million euros. That is below 17 million pounds. So let us know what you think in the comment box below there. But Fabrizio himself confirming there that more on the Christian Mosquera story and Arsenal. I understand that the Spanish defender has already given his green light to join Arsenal. Mosquera is keen on joining Arsenal. The club has already explained the project, and more rounds of talks will be following very soon as things go on. Hands of Arsenal himself, they're explaining that Arsenal are aiming to close a deal for Christian Mosquera for a fee under 16 million pounds. Personal terms are not seen as an issue, as everything has already been agreed. Still some work to be done, but talks are very advanced. Andre Bata is aiming to get the player in before pre-season. That is according to that's according to Hands of Ozil, right? That's according to Hands of Arsenal. I don't know why I keep calling him Hands of Ozil. It's called Hands of Arsenal, and then Hands of Ozil is also another reporter. But what you have just seen on your screen, guys, is that Arsenal have agreed personal terms with Christian Mosquera, and we have the full green light from the player. Now, this is important in such a deal. Usually, if you're trying to trigger the release clause of a player, it's not a big problem. It's not a big deal, right? But to agree personal terms with a player like Mosquera is always very crucial, especially when you are rivaled by Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. That is very important. And I also think that Arsenal have a couple of other players that, we have a couple of other clubs that are interested in Christian Mosquera. So it's very good what Andrea Bata has done here. You go out there and you convince the player about the project. You convince the player about the prospect of being one of the centre backs, in such a very healthy environment around William Saliba and around Gabriel Magalhaes. I think this conversation went like, come in, you're going to play alongside Saliba and Gabriel, but you're going to get a lot of minutes. I think Mikel Arteta has learned his lesson. He's looked at Manchester City and how they handle the injury crisis at the centre back positions and across the back line. Manuel Akanji plays almost each and every time, and then Diaz, and then Ake, and then Josko Gvardiol, and then Kyle Walker when he was there. So, you need to have so many defensive options, but you also need to be able to swap them around. So Mikel Arteta, in my opinion, is kind of learning that, and that's what we're saying, that is adding another centre back just to allow him to rotate. But there is something very important before we get into much of the other part. Something has caught my eye this morning, and this is a story from Ryan Taylor Sport, and it says that Crystal Palace's Maguire and Club Brugge's defender Joel O'Donnell are also among the list of options that have been considered as alternatives for Mosquera by Arsenal. And this has caught my eye for two reasons. Number one, Mikel Arteta and Andrea Barca are so serious about signing a new centre-back that if the Christian Musquera deal doesn't happen, they've got Maguire as an option. I don't understand this. I really don't understand this. Arsenal have Christian Musquera as number one target for centre-back and Maguire as an option, and Liverpool have Maguire as their priority signing. I'm not saying Christian Musquera is better than Maguire. I'm saying how should I understand this? Like, why is Maguire the substitute option on the list to Christian Musquera? But I think this is about the price. I think what Mikel and Andre Bata are trying to do, they're trying to sign a young centre back because Christian Musquera is just 20. One that is not going to, again, destabilize the setup that we already have. Mikel Arteta wants to choose Timber, Skelly, Saliba, and Gabriel in peace. But then, if he decides to rotate around, then Calafiori, Jakub Kiwior, and Ben White and Christian Musquera can actually be available as options. With Maguire, and why Arsenal might not actually benefit so much from signing him, he wants to come and start right away. He wants to come in and, establish himself as one of the starters at centre back. Whereas that is good, you risk losing one of your main centre backs that we have at the moment, either Gabriel or William Saliba. Because Saliba might come in, Maguire might come in, play better than Saliba, and then maybe the minutes for Saliba reduce, or maybe the minutes for Gabriel reduce, and one of them says, Maguire is here, I want to go. But with Christian Musquera, he's not a threat to Saliba, and he's not a threat to Gabriel, he's a backup. And he is not threatened by the idea of Saliba and Gabriel because he knows he will be getting his own minutes. He will be getting his minutes, right? So I think Maguire to Arsenal this summer, I don't see that happen, right? But what I can see there is Arsenal are serious about signing a new centre-back, that they have options. They have so many options. Remember, we started with Dean Huijsen, and then we moved down to Christian Musquera now, and then there is Maguire, and then there is this guy, O'Donnell at Club Brugge. So it means that Arsenal are seriously going to sign a centre-back, whether Mosquera arrives or not. But let's talk about that price that is being discussed today in the papers. £17 million is the release clause of the player, and Arsenal want to sign the player for less than £16 million. Now, I know this might frustrate you a bit, and you'll be like, why? Why are Arsenal trying to reduce £17 million already? It's already a good deal. Yeah, it's already a good deal. And for me, if Arsenal want to pay £17 million, it doesn't matter. I mean, if we want to pay £20 million for Mosquera, again, it doesn't matter. One of the very talented centre-backs in Spanish football and a highly rated defender. But the reason as to why Arsenal are going into this deal already is because it's a market opportunity. And with market opportunities, they don't stop giving. They keep on giving and keep on giving and keep on giving. So if the player is entering his last 12 months of his contract, right? He's entering his last 12 months of his contract, and you have him willing to join Arsenal, personal terms are great, that means that you can even force Valencia to agree a deal below £17 million, and Arsenal don't have any chances of wasting any coins this summer, right? if we can get any chance of sparing money. That's why we didn't sign Joan Garcia. Think about it. Arsenal could have spent 25 million on Joan Garcia. We have the money. This is a team that bid 50 million or was willing to pay 50 million for Dean Huijsen. So this team has the money. But the reason as to why Arsenal didn't pay all that money is we wanted to pay something less. Barcelona wanted to pay something more. And Arsenal were like, we want to keep our money for the important signings. So if you get Kepa for 5 million, you get Christian Nogard for 11 million, and you get Mosquera for about, let's say, 15 million. You have just spent, right? You have just spent under 50 million on 3 important signings. Because 15 plus 11, that is 26 plus 5, that is 31 million. So Arsenal will have spent 31 million on 3 important signings into Mikel Arteta's squad, and we shall have enough money for us to go and do the deals that actually matter, the deals that actually really brought us in the market this summer. So the fee for me is okay. The age profile is okay. The profile of a player as a centre back is also okay as well. Let's wait for that. Here we go between Arsenal and Valencia, and I think a deal will be agreed. I don't think that Arsenal are going to take a lot of time on this one. A deal will be agreed. But if you've noticed, there is something that I haven't talked about, and there is something that I've not talked about, and he must be one of the options that Arsenal have at centre back, isn't it? And that is Jorah Hato. Now, Jorah Hato is a player that Arsenal have considered ever since he was 15, right? And now the guy is like 20, 21. But for the last 6 years, Arsenal have looked at Jorah Hato and they have appreciated his profile as a player. So why is he not an option for centre-back? Well, this is the reason, and it's a very good reason reported by Ben Jacobs. Okay, actually, Brian Taylor, sorry. Not Ben Jacobs, but Brian Taylor. And Brian Taylor is saying that Arsenal's interest in Jorah Hato remains ongoing. But at this stage, any deal would likely depend on the futures of Alexander Zinchenko and Jakub Kiwior, plus Ajax's potential asking price. A left-sided defender is going to come at Arsenal, guys. A left-sided defender is going to be signed by Arsenal. And I want to tell you this. Arsenal have pleaded with Jakub Kiwior to stay. But if you're signing Christian Musquera, and Takehiro Tomiyasu is not going to leave anytime soon, and those two guys naturally become superiors in the pecking order, superiors of Tomiyasu, I really strongly think that Arsenal will sign a left-sided centre back or a left-sided defender, and Zini and Kiwior will leave. So Jorah Hato then becomes a subject of departures and a subject of his club asking for a lesser price. Now, in terms of the asking price, I cannot guarantee that Ajax are going to ask for 15, 16, 20 million, right? But I think it's going to be about Arsenal completing the other deals, especially the centre forward deal, the Mosquera deal, and the left wing deal. After that, we ask ourselves, this might be like the David Raya deal. Arsenal look at their balance after a very busy summer, and they're like, how much have we left? Okay, we're left with 20 million. Can we sign Jorah Hato for 20 million? If Ajax are willing to sell Jorah Hato for 20 million, a deal then is done, right? So it's going to depend on Arsenal's balance after doing all these other deals, but we might actually get 2 centre-backs. Arsenal don't have a problem with signing 2 centre-backs this summer. What a window. What a window this is going to be. If Arsenal sign 2 defenders, and we sign 2 midfielders, and we sign 2 attackers, and a new goalkeeper, what a statement that is from Arsenal. But in terms of statements, Arsenal, according to Sami Makbo from the BBC, Arsenal tried to sign Julian Alvarez. He's one of the players that Arsenal are crazy about. And Sami Makba says that Arsenal have considered a deal for Julian Alvarez, but are believed to have regarded it as not financially realistic. Do you think Arsenal should sign the Argentine international? That is according to FTV. Do I think that Arsenal should sign Alvarez? Bloody yes. Go and do the deal. Those are the kind of deals that important teams do. Those are the kind of deals that you want your team to be doing. I want my team to be all over this deal. But realistically, and I want to be as realistic as possible, realistically, is it a deal that Arsenal could do? Well, he signed for 90 million euros from Manchester City to ATM. If Arsenal are willing to compensate ATM, that means give them the 90 million euros and give them a bit of profit, maybe 40 million euros on top of that or 50 million euros on top of that. I don't see Atletico Madrid really want to sell at the moment. I just don't see it as a deal that's doable. But maybe, you never know. Arsenal is Arsenal and we are a big club.